Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. First item are council information and follow-up requests. Councilman Stark.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention this past Saturday we had our GAIN events, and it was a great weekend. I was able to attend 9 events, and I still didn't make all the GAIN events in my district, but it was a great weekend, well attended. Hundreds of people came out to support their neighborhoods, their officers, and Block Watch. I also wanted to note on Sunday, October 28th, the City of Phoenix will have a team of walkers for the annual Aunt Rita's AIDS Walk. And I'm going to be a part of that team, and we're going to raise a lot of money for a good cause. I'm very excited. I've done the walk in the past, but this year the City of Phoenix has a team. I'm going to be a part of it. Can't wait. That's what I have.
Anyone else?
Oh, sure.
Councilwoman Pastor.
I'm just looking at my notes. Good afternoon. As Councilwoman Stark stated, we had Getting Arizona Involved in Neighborhood Weekend, which usually means there's like 15 events all at one time, all throughout the day. And I enjoyed it. I started at 7 and I went till 2 o'clock due to the fact that I had to attend an event in the evening, and Bob and Jenny Ramsey were given an award for their work and advocacy for the Cass Center, and so that was fun. And then my weekend continued. Went to a pumpkin patch, and then just did a lot of things over the weekend. Celebrated my son, and we have October birthdays. There's 20 of us that have October birthdays. And so my son and I share October birthdays, so it was a great Sunday evening ending it with my family and celebrating our birthdays. I also want to mention that there is a new president at Phoenix College. His name is Dr. Larry Johnson, and he began in July serving as the 6th president. He comes here from St. Louis Community College, and he served as the campus provost and chief academic officer at the district, which had over 70,000 students. And prior to St. Louis Community College, he served as Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at Broward College South Campus and as Division Chair of Arts, Sciences, and Developmental Education, Student Concerns Officer. So I just wanted to welcome him here, give him a great welcome to Phoenix College, since Phoenix College is in the heart of the city, in the heart of District 4 that we're rocking. And 2 other items is we have the Midtown Home Tour. It's Saturday, November 3rd. If you've never done it, please go do it. It is fun and exciting, and you get to see all the urban living that happens within Midtown. And then my coffee for the chat, Coffee with Laura, is November 20th, Tuesday, November 20th, 2018 at 8 a.m. at Miracle Mile Deli. We have lively chats and look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Councilwoman Mendoza, do you have some items?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everyone who donated toiletries to our domestic violence shelters, and also thank everyone who attended the GAIN events. And I only made it to, unfortunately, I couldn't make the afternoon ones because I had a medical emergency, and I was only able to attend the morning ones. But I do want to bring something up, and that's with public safety. Last time we were doing the presentation about the needs of public safety, one of the questions I asked was, where are we growing in our city? The response I got was the number of calls that with the fire stations with the most calls. It wasn't about the growing need. And the reason I asked for the reason I'm mentioning this is because on Saturday I had an emergency. I waited 25 minutes for an ambulance. They couldn't get an ambulance fast enough to the house. So they had to perform my IV and medical treatment in the middle of my living room because we didn't have any ambulance. We don't have any ambulance south of baseline. So I would like to know, how are we going to address public safety needs of these growing areas, specifically medical emergencies? I mean, I was able to wait 25 minutes, but anyone else who's having a heart attack or a car accident, how long do they have to wait? So if I could get some of that information. And also on November 6th, District 8 is hosting a job fair with water services and several other local companies. So follow my Facebook page, and I'll post more information on there. Thank you very much. That's it.
Vice Mayor? No? Councilwoman?
Hi, good afternoon. So tomorrow I host my weekly office hours. I do office hours every week throughout District 5. We have ours tomorrow at the Beatitudes campus. That's tomorrow, October 24th, which is located at 1610 West Glendale from 9 to 10:30 a.m. And also, as I previously mentioned, every 5th of the month we celebrate District 5. We have some form of community event, we support a local business, and for this month we'll have a pie social at the Pendergast Community Center in the Villa de Paz neighborhood, which is located at 10550 West Mariposa Street from 5 to 6:30 p.m. So please come out and meet us, your neighbors, and have a slice of pie. On Saturday, November 17th, we'll be partnering with Phoenix Fire to host a pancake breakfast at Fire Station 25, which is located at 4010 North 63rd Avenue, and we'll be there from 9 to 11, so please bring your family. We'll do some flyering, extensive outreach to make sure people come out, and that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few things. I had the honor of welcoming the Arizona Airports Association this week. They held their annual event in Phoenix, and we always appreciate that when they do. It's always surprising to know how many airports are in Arizona. There's close to, 90, I believe it was? Yeah. You just don't think there's that many, but very impressive, very great group. District 1 hosted a CPR class, and I want to thank the firefighters and the volunteers who helped put that on at Buff. Also want to thank the block watches, PMP, and the neighbors for the GAIN events. We had some great events this weekend, great participation. And I want to acknowledge the president was here and at Luke Air Force Base. And it really emphasized how important that base is to Arizona. It's important not only to our national security, but it is a huge economic driver in this community and has not only the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, but 4 other countries train there. And the number of civilians that are working there is astronomical. And I just want people to remember it's there and appreciate it. We have our first Census 2020 and ad hoc committee meeting next week. I think it's Thursday at 2 p.m. We're going to begin to launch the census, which is huge for the city of Phoenix. It'll take us a while to be fully organized, plan, and implement this because we need every person in the city of Phoenix counted. And strategizing how we do that and making it happen is going to take a group of people and a lot of commitment. District 1 Community Breakfast, 7:30 this coming Friday, Metro Center at the Doubletree Hotel. Catherine Sorensen will be there to explain water rates and the water system, so I invite everybody. I offer breakfast to tempt people to come, so hopefully we can see you there at 7:30. And the big one, Sunday, October 28th, downtown's first dog costume parade will be at Hans Park, Halloween. So it's free to attend, but any proceeds we get by registering your dog will go into local nonprofits. So I encourage everyone to bring your dog down in costume to Hance Park and be part of the celebration. That's all we have. So, Vice Mayor, do we have a consent agenda?
Mayor, in accordance with the properly posted notice and agenda, I move that the City Council pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute, Section 38-431 at 02.a, meet in executive session on Tuesday, November 6th at 2018 at 1 p.m. in the East Conference Room, 12th floor of the Phoenix City Hall, 200 West Washington Street, Phoenix, Arizona.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Do we have an executive session?
I don't,
That was executive
Oh.
session.
oh, yeah, I was going to
We're
say.
good. There was no,
We have a
there
consent.
was no consent agenda.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor.
You tricked me. It's not hard.
I didn't mean to trick you. I won't do it again.
Okay. City Manager, report?
Mayor, I do not have anything today. I'll step aside so that we can get to the main item, which is the airport lands
Okay.
report.
That brings us to the update and action on airport land use plan. And I asked the airport to come do this presentation. We have new members at the council, and I think it's important they understand what the airport does, what it needs, not only to operate today, but into the future, how airports continue to change as they grow, and the economic impact that it has on this community and the jobs it provides. So I thank all of you for being here and doing this presentation, and look forward to what you have today.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Deanna Jonovich, Deputy City Manager. And we are here today, as you said, last May, Mayor and Council asked that we take a thorough analysis of all of the land that airport owns and come back with a plan on how we would activate the property. So over this past summer, Airport Department, Community and Economic Development, Planning, Finance, Neighborhood Services all came together to really look at what land is available around the airport and what opportunities we may have. Before we dive into the land, though, I wanted to first just provide a quick overview of some of the significant activities that take place at the airport annually. We have 430,000 takeoffs and landings every year. We also have 44+ million passengers a year and 121,000 passengers per day. To put that in context, the passengers per day is equivalent to 2 sold-out Cardinal stadiums, and that's what they're doing each day at the airport. Additionally, we have 393,000 tons of mail and cargo every year. We are the 13th busiest airport in the U.S. and the 41st busiest airport in the world. As you all know, we are also the single largest economic engine in the state of Arizona with 106 million daily economic impact. We also have 57,000 jobs with about $3.7 billion in payroll. In addition, we bring in $12.7 million in state and local sales tax that's paid on an annual basis. To provide a little bit of context on the total acreage in comparison to other airports that we compete with on a regular basis, if you see here, Phoenix has about 3,400 total acreage. When we compare that to Las Vegas, we're somewhat comparable at 2,800. As you proceed through, if you look at Tucson, they have about 8,000 total acres. Houston has over 10,000 acres. Dallas sits at about 17,200 acres. And finally, Denver is at 34,000. So again, when we're talking about Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, we don't have a large acreage available to the airport. What we wanted to do in looking at the land available, we broke it up into 3 parts, and we've come before you at different increments to talk about each of these, but we wanted to be more specific about the land that's available. The first area we're going to talk about is a comprehensive asset management plan, or some of you know it as CAMP. This is the area that pretty much has the runways on it, the cargo areas, the taxiways. There's also some private business that's to the north of that area, shaded in blue as well. So we'll talk specifically about what's in that area. The next one is our Sky Harbor Center, and you all took action this past spring, and we no longer have any land available in that area. We just leased up the last of it with the CPLC and the diocese, and we will continue to build out that area. And finally, today, we'll talk about land reuse strategy. This is an area that's gone through an extensive community input process over at least the last 4 years, and we are still underway in that process. For today's purposes, we're really focused on south of the 17, and we will continue to engage the community in those discussions. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Aviation Director Jim Bennett to talk specifically about the camp area.
Thank you, Deanna. And when we mention the camp area, as Deanna mentioned, what we're really referring to is the property that constitutes the core airport area. And I apologize, I thought I had my phone on silence, but evidently I don't. Maybe I have a malfunctioning phone here. But anyway, so this is the core area that we have for current and future aviation-related uses. And on this slide, everything shaded in blue that you see here is property that is owned and maintained by the Aviation Department. And the core airport, as Deanna mentioned, is about 3,400 acres, of which about 360 is currently leased. And those leases generate about $17 million per year in revenue to aviation. But as we further analyze the camp property, you see this area that's highlighted by the yellow box. Now, we refer to this as our terminal core, and this area is currently fully allocated to terminals 2, 3, 4, the West Cargo Complex, Sky Harbor Boulevard, SkyTrain, and the future West Ground Transportation Center development, as well as other service and maintenance facilities. But as shown here, as we further evolve the terminal core with the completion of the SkyTrain, the West Ground Transportation Center development, as well as new West Side Freeway access, cross-fill taxiways, and a future West Terminal, this terminal core becomes even more fully subscribed than it is today. Now, as seen here in the red, when you take the terminal core and add it to all of the runways, taxiways, and required safety areas, it leaves only the light blue shaded property for current aviation uses and future growth. Now, of the remaining blue shaded areas, approximately 375 acres is comprised of the Salt River Basin. And of course, the Salt River Basin is not practical for development due to numerous factors, not to mention environmental and cost associated with it. So the remaining blue shaded areas on the bottom of this slide are fully occupied by Qatar and Swift Aviation, our South Cargo Complex, which includes Federal Express, UPS, and U.S. Customs, as well as the 161st Aerial Refueling Wing of the Arizona Air National Guard. So over the years, some of these partners have expressed a desire to expand their facilities at Sky Harbor to accommodate additional businesses. Now, as we look to the light blue shaded areas at the top of this slide, we note that the area is currently in use by corporate users, government aircraft such as the state of Arizona, Mesa Airlines, as well as Honeywell. Now, the hashed area on that top represents property that is not owned by aviation today. Now, as we've previously discussed with council, the camp that's underway has involved several committee meetings of business and community members reviewing how we should consider accommodating future airport needs at Sky Harbor. One of the ways to identify to accommodate these future needs is to look to the property that is owned by aviation to the north, as identified in this yellow box. Now, this area is generally located west of 44th Street all the way to 32nd Street, and then between Washington and the north side of Sky Harbor Airport. And it is currently partially used by our 44th Street SkyTrain station, as well as airport employee parking and ground transportation staging. Now, this area has been identified as a potential for near-term development, meaning somewhere between now and 10 years from now. Now, as previously mentioned, if we want to accommodate growth by, for example, the Air National Guard, We would need to find a new location for businesses such as Cutter and Swift or Federal Express, UPS, et cetera. An option would be to potentially accommodate that expansion into this north area and keep the jobs and the business activity in that area, as well as to accommodate future growth.
Jim,
Yes,
is that where Greyhound Park is?
that is correct,
Okay.
Councilman.
I just need to
Yes.
understand the area and what's there right now. Okay, thank you.
So you could potentially relocate the cargo business as well as Cutter and Swift. And then also the cargo that is located in that terminal core could be relocated to that location to make way for future development. Now, as far as the property holdings that we have west of 32nd Street, I will now turn it over to our Economic Development Director, Chris Mackey.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the council. Where the aviation director is talking to you about the property that is in the short-term need for Sky Harbor sometime between now and 10 years, the area from 24th Street to 32nd Street is in their long-term plan, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years during that time frame. So as we zoom in on that area, just a little bit closer, just to help you get your bearings straight, you'll see the red box that just turned on at 24th Street and Jefferson. That is the RFP that this council approved us to issue for the historic First National Bank building. And that RFP is open with it closing expected to be very soon. The next red box that you see at 26th Street in Washington was a long-term land lease for 30 years that was approved by this council for an industrial bakery that will bring 240 good jobs into this market, and they are in the plan review process now. The next red box that you see, it's a little bit harder to see. It just popped up over on Madison and 28th Street. It's a contractor's office for Sky Harbor, so it is also a leased property. You also see the property in green that is just below the word street in Washington Street, and that's also city-owned property, but it's leased to the Arizona Ballet. Next, what you have, again, I should remind you that all of the aviation-owned properties are in blue. You see 10 properties pop up, and those are properties that through neighborhood services, aviation, community and economic development and planning, we've identified as those that the Community and Economic Development Department could market quickly and take out for long-term land leases or approximately 30-year land leases while it waits for future aviation needs in that 30-year time frame. So as you see, the area now that comes up is 24th Street to 26th Street between Washington and Jefferson. This is an area that's of particular interest to the United Business Coalition that we've been working with closely, who have businesses in the area and concerns and interest in this property and how we can get this property into production for long-term needs as well. So again, the blue property is aviation-owned property. The yellow are single-family residential. Some of them are for rent, and we tell that by looking at the county assessor's website and seeing, is the property address the same place that the property taxes are going to? If it is, we tend to know that that's an owner-occupied space, and if not, we tend to lean towards it's a renter-occupied space. So it's a mix of both. The balance of the land that you see not colored are commercial businesses. They might be auto sales, they might be open scrap yards, and they might be outdoor storage and outdoor businesses. And as we've looked at this area, the aviation-owned properties, it's also important to note, these are really small properties. They tend to range in size from 3,000 square feet to about 7,000 square feet, or that of a standard single-family residential lot. What you see in front of you now is one of those properties outlined in black, and that's the property along Madison, just to the east of 24th Street. And just to show to you an example of the challenge that we face as we're looking to redevelop these properties, but what aviation, planning, neighborhood services, and community and economic development would propose in this area is to leverage those properties for those private businesses to be able to help them improve their properties or to grow their businesses in those areas. So as an example, just to make it easy to see, this is just a Google photo. The blue on either side of the single-family home are aviation-owned properties with a single-family residential in the middle. We are absolutely not proposing that this council do anything to move, that single-family residential. This is simply a representation of the challenge of that area. And again, staff proposal here would be to leverage the aviation properties in long-term benefit of the area, to bring them into production for those businesses and to help those businesses grow, but also have the surety that aviation isn't going to need their properties in the future, so they can make those investments in their own businesses.
So, for consideration by the City Council, what we would recommend is that the area identified by the label A on this map be preserved and protected for the near-term aviation growth, and that aviation also proactively acquire parcels in this area. And then for the area identified by the label B, that we work with continued partnership with economic development to market this area for development with leases not to exceed 30 years, and that we strategically acquire land as it becomes available. And now I will pass it back to Ms. Mackey, who will continue discussion about our properties.
So next in front of you, you see the second area that Deputy Director Jonovich indicated as we broke it down into the 3 areas. The first being camp, which we've just reviewed, and the second, Sky Harbor Center. So Sky Harbor Center was acquired in the 70s, the 80s, and even into the 90s by many means, through voluntary acquisition, but predominantly through eminent domain and the threat of eminent domain to be able to acquire these properties at the end of the runway. This is why you see the area in front of you as a large contiguous business park, and this has turned into one of the premier business parks in the state of Arizona. It has 352 total acres of 300 that are owned by aviation, and 352 are leased. The most recent transaction that this council will remember is the long-term land lease with Chicanos por la Causa on the remaining 35 acres. I also want to be cautious to make sure that you're aware they are not completely built out. Even the parcels that are under lease now by Chicanos por la Causa, there are other acreage in this business park that are under long-term land lease, but just haven't been built. They are for future development of, you know, should Chase want to grow, should Bank of America want to grow, should Aero Electronics need to grow, or other tenants, other signature tenants in the area need to grow. They aren't transactions this council would have to approve. They're already approved in long-term land leases, but have the potential to be built on them. And we see about $93 million in revenue off of Sky Harbor Center. Staff's recommendations to council on Sky Harbor Center would be to facilitate development of the remaining 35 acres, working closely with economic development in Chicanos por la Causa to bring quality office and industrial tenants into the market for job creation in CPLC's vision, and then retain and expand that existing tenant base in the market, which is tens of thousands of jobs. And the final area that we'd like to talk to you about today is the land reuse strategy area. This is the area that has undergone significant community input and has been studied for the last 4 years and still continues to be an area that is studied by the community. The total area acres are approximately 1,300 acres, of which aviation owns approximately 166 of those acres. 15 acres are leased, creating about $230,000 in revenue in that area. This council last year approved the community preferred framework, or as you know it, phase 1 of this land reuse study area, and it was sent to the FAA, where it still resides, and we are awaiting their decision and concurrence on that phase 1 work. The work on phase 2 has started with the community, and phase 2 will identify what types of uses should go at the granular level into the area, and what areas should economic development and other areas be focusing on first. So we have started work on that area with the community. It's important to note here that this presentation before council today does not change or alter the land reuse strategy area and all the community work that is underway. That area will still continue underway with the community work. One of the areas that is in consensus with the community that they are interested in seeing developed sooner rather than later is south of Interstate 17. And that's an area that is predominantly job generating and industrial in nature. And I'll zoom in a little bit on that area so you can see it a little bit better. And again, aviation-owned properties are in blue. This area was predominantly acquired by voluntary acquisition, which is why you see kind of the hopscotch of parcels in the area. And these are, again, relatively small parcels, most of them being around 7,000 square feet. But we do own a number of parcels that are contiguous to each other. I won't bore you with walking through each individual one, but the ones that have just popped up in black are approximately 1 acre or above in contiguous acreage that the city owns. That would allow development of a 10 to 15,000 square foot building on that parcel, meeting our development standards. If you look at that surrounding area, it tends to be larger industrial, buildings somewhere between 40, 50, and 100,000 square feet, and even larger. And that is what private markets, what our employers are looking for in that area in close proximity to Interstate 17. Just as a simple example, and not asking for anything in particular, but a specific example would be this parcel 2. It is what you see in the red box that is adjacent to the acre in black would represent how the city could either through this council's policy direction to do more acquisition strategically to create marketable land sites, or could give us the policy direction to work with private sector, where private sector goes out and makes the acquisition of the still privately owned land sites, and we bring the aviation land into it. But city owns 12 parcels in that red box. There are 2 parcels that would need to be acquired to be able to create the 2.26 acres of contiguous land that would allow the development of a 40 or 50,000 square foot building. There is still one of those parcels that is still as a single family residential that is occupied on that. So this is simply a representation of what could be done. Just as an example, we have that analysis for 5 other properties in the area, again, just as examples of how we could market south of I-17. So staff would propose on the land reuse strategy that council consider continuing with the phase 2 process and the community process that is underway, but where it makes sense that we strategically acquire parcels to create future marketable sites south of I-17. And with that, I will pass it back over to Deputy Director Jana Jonovich for her.
Chris,
Yes, please.
why is it important that the airport have that land, and who wants to operate a business there?
Mayor, it's important as we look at both for the protection of the airport for future long-term activity at the airport in noise generation, and noise protection, but also in long-term revenue production for the airport. If we dispose of the land today, it creates a one-time source of revenue. But if we enter into a 50-year land lease, it creates 50 years of certain revenue for the airport moving forward. But it does allow this council to be in charge of the airport's destiny from now and for long-term into the future.
So Mayor, members of the council, in summary, as we've completed our aviation land analysis, the next 3 slides show you what we are recommending for council authorization. Sorry.
Oh, you should.
Oh,
That we thought we were done.
Sorry. Keep going. So what we're showing on the next 3 slides, just to recap, is what we are recommending for council authorization. As you pointed out, to both activate the area surrounding Sky Harbor while preserving the area for the airport for future growth. So in the camp area, in Area A, we're recommending preserving for aviation growth and proactively acquiring parcels. Area B, market for new development with leases not to exceed 30 years and strategically acquire land as it becomes available. In our Sky Harbor Center, again, facilitate development of the remaining 35 acres as well as retain and expand existing tenant base. And finally, land reuse strategy, continue with phase 2 process and strategically acquire parcels to create future market sites south of the I-17. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Deanna, the Air National Guard was on one of your slides. I can't remember how far back, but I don't remember them being specifically mentioned other than being identified, so I assume the status quo is going to remain. They'll just stay there and their operations will remain the same.
Mayor to Councilman Waring, they've been very active participants with us in this camp study that we have underway right now. Conversations that we've had with the Guard has indicated that they would like to try to find additional space at Sky Harbor for their mission. There are a new generation of aerial tankers that are coming into the fleet, and their current facilities do not accommodate this new tanker, so they need additional property in order to remain competitive with other bases that are vying for those tankers. So they would like to see some additional property.
And you're working with them on that?
We are trying to figure out, Mayor to Councilman Waring, where that might take place.
Mayor, so when I got on the council a few years ago, identifying what properties we actually owned was an issue. We went through a process with, I think, every city department. Is it complete for the airport? Because I think the last time I had an update, I don't think it was, but you guys were working on it.
Yes, what we have today is a complete analysis.
That's
of-
where this came from.
Yes.
Is that right? Thank you.
You have a question?
I do, but I'm just.
Councilman DeCiccio, did you have a question?
No, I don't, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question on slide 10, and I don't know if I'm reading it right. I think I am. B is 24th Street to 32nd Street,
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, that's correct.
and that's where the United Business Coalition was interested
That is correct.
in activating that area. And I guess some of the owners own property there and then are surrounded by airport parcels, and they want to be able to activate the area for their business. Am I
Mayor,
correct?
Councilwoman Pastor, you're correct. You remember exactly correctly.
Well, I want to thank the United Business Coalition, because I don't think we would be this far if it hadn't been for them contacting me regarding that area, and me just going and having a meeting and then realized that they had all this need. And I want to thank city staff for, especially Chris and Jim, for jumping in and hearing the concerns of their partners around them. And I believe we moved faster on this piece. So I want to commend you for doing that. And then A is where, I'm in my mind because I'm visual, A is where Greyhound, and we go all the way to that property of where 32nd, Jim?
That is correct. Councilman Pastor, the A parcel is 44th Street on the east and 32nd Street on the west.
Okay, and then I had one more question. It was about, I'm getting all mixed up with my papers. It was where the Sky Harbor Center is. Sky Harbor Center, that is encompassing Sacred Heart, CPLC, and what else is part of that?
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, so the 35 acres that the council approved just a number of months ago with Chicanos por la Causa is 10% of the total of Sky Harbor Center. So it's part of a larger business park.
Okay, that's what I needed to know, because I knew I was missing something. Well, thank you,
My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Anyone else? Councilwoman?
Thank you. I want to thank Chris, Jim, and Deanna for working on this master plan. I've been asking for this for months already, so thank you for doing that. I know you guys worked during the summertime to put all this information together. And I think I'm excited to, we have so much great potential around the airport, especially to bring in new revenue to the city, so that's exciting, and while protecting all the assets that we have to grow our airport. So thank you for doing that. That's all I have. Thank you.
I want to thank you for doing this presentation. I have a passion for the airport, as everyone knows, and I have always been amazed for the small amount of land that you have, the operation that you manage, And when you think and you compare it to the other major airports in the United States, you are to be commended. I know that an airport is constantly changing. The size of airplanes change, wing spread changes, needs change, and you have to immediately begin to react to that and sometimes reconstruct buildings or close the gate or whatever to accommodate the airlines. And I really appreciate the fact that you're showing us the land. You might not need it today, but you're going to need it tomorrow. And if we want Sky Harbor to be a viable airport and a strong community asset as it is today, not only to the city of Phoenix, but to the state of Arizona, we have to keep our eye on that. And I am a firm believer that you need to continue to buy property in the areas that you showed us when they become available. It's 30 years from now when we need it, we need to have it. And it will be less expensive today than it will be 30 years from now. And I really thank you for doing this presentation, and I'm hoping that we will accept your recommendations and move forward with this, because Sky Harbor is truly an asset for Arizona. So. This is posted for action, correct? Yes.
Move item number 1.
Any further comments? We have a motion and a second.
Oh, sorry.
I do. I see somebody
getting
back there
excited.
waving at me. We're getting so excited. Patricia is donating to Dr. Juan Girl. I'm going to mess up your name. Gurley? Oh, I know who he is when he gets down here. Come on.
Before I get started, I have a few handouts for you. Okay. You know, having heard all about the airport, I just want to say that Mayor Williams, council members, as a former resident living immediately west of the airport, myself, my wife, we and my family have observed the evolution of Sky Harbor Airport from the 1950s all the way to the present. That's how much time we've had to the airport. Let me just share a little bit of nostalgia with you. I remember back in 1962, a monumental experience, and when you start talking about the Air National Guard, the person that I'm going to speak about, he came out of the Air National Guard. In 1962, President John Kennedy motorcade en route to the Westford Hole downtown to attend an event. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember him, then Senator Carl Hayden. He passed right by Wilson School on Buckeye Road, and my 7th grade class was fortunate enough to be standing on the stairway of the Wilson School Auditorium. This was an awesome experience for me and my classmates because President Kennedy actually waved to us, and I can still see him today, that wave and his presence. It was just a very special moment from that experience. We would still be living in that area. Patricia and I, we loved the area. It was a vibrant community. I'm talking about the community west of the airport. But there was something that happened, and some of you have already talked about it. I don't want to state this in a negative sense. That's past history. But it was called WALA, the West Area Land Acquisition. This was where 6,000 of us, over 500 residents, were actually displaced out of the area. Today, you talk about Sky Harbor Center. That is a vibrant community, and like I just heard, it's generating revenues of over $93 million, which is great for the community and stuff like that. Now, a lot of the folks that were relocated, that lived in this neighborhood, a lot of them were post-World War II veterans, just to give you a flavor of this community. But some of you may be aware that my wife and I represent what's called the Lieutenant Colonel Father Albert Braun Veterans Memorial District Initiative. This initiative is supported by, and you have the handout, Unified Arizona Veterans Organization and the Arizona Veterans Service Advisory Commission. Over approximately 3 years' tenure as stakeholders, landowners, and members of the land reuse, Patricia and I have developed and promoted this initiative. It was submitted as part of the land reuse report to the FAA in January of 2018. In brief, this initiative illuminates the legacy, heritage, and proposes to memorialize those central areas west of the airport, neighborhoods, barrios on the Salt River floodplain. There have been monumental events and individuals that have impacted this vibrant community. But Lieutenant Colonel Father Albert Braun, age 73, Baton Survival, was very instrumental in unifying and enhancing the quality of life in these neighborhoods, barrios, with its many veterans. It is with this message and intent that we, Patricia and I, without reservations, request and appeal to you today, as you vote through this, that you remember this community and that you mutually, with what has been presented here today, with some of the revenues you talked about, to identify possible funds so that we can move forward west of the airport to at least memorialize, provide the legacy, the heritage that once was there, so it be not forgotten and scraped away. We ask this, we appeal to you for this, and please consider any revenues possible that come out of this growth and development to possibly be allocated to implement this vibrant initiative. It's a very important initiative, and it remembers the communities that were there, and I'll leave it at that. I just want to say thank you for all your cooperation in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Todd Sanders?
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Council. Todd Sanders, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Chamber of Commerce. Here to ask for support for the revised airport land use plan. Beginning with, I'd like to congratulate and thank the various departments and stakeholders that came together to create this plan that you're seeing before you today. Obviously, a lot of work went into that, and I think it's extraordinary that we have something this comprehensive. The Chamber does recognize that there's a need for strong economic development while also balancing the land use needs for future airport use and expansion, as you were saying, Mayor. Sky Harbor serves more than 120,000 passengers daily with more than 1,200 flights. And a total economic impact of more than $38 billion. It's almost mind-boggling to think the economic impact that Sky Harbor has, not only in Phoenix, but also for the state of Arizona. But it obviously goes beyond that in terms of meeting the region's needs for the population and future improvements here and growth for America's friendliest airport, but also remaining a strong economic engine for the state of Arizona. Continuing along this, I think, strategic path of growing the airport the right way will allow us to build out in a way that we can attract more international carriers, and I'd say more importantly, take care of the existing carriers that are here today that are so important for us till we can reach the world. Serving 44 million passengers every year, it's going to be important to keep pace with that growth, and hopefully there's a lot more of that growth by adding more terminal space, parking, better roads, airfield improvements, and options for moving people back and forth. So I want to say we do have full confidence in Director Mackey and the work that she does in terms of making sure that there is best use for those taxpayer-owned lands, or if there's an acquisition the other way. A strong partner for the Chamber, so really excited to see her along with our friends at the airport. So finally, we look forward to working with our public sector partners, our private partners, to continuing to grow Sky Harbor, not only here regionally, but nationally and internationally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Reverend Moffin?
Mayor Williams and Council, I'd like to do two things if I could. If I can give these to you, Ed. It's a petition for something unrelated. I am in favor of this particular plan, and I know there's been a lot of community discussion about it, particularly with the potential for African American and Latino contractors. But in the acquisition of land and the changing of land use and zoning, it does create a little bit of a challenge. So I'm here on a neighborhood issue as well. My family's owned a house at 1412 East Jefferson Street since 1920. And there's some land that's been acquired by the airport in the larger area of this zone that sits between our house and the house of Councilman Good. And it's owned by the airport, and it has some development restrictions on it, but it's right across the street from East Lake Park, which is generally thought of as a residential area. So if we could work with the city to maybe identify how we could adjust maybe the zoning or whatever appeals we have to go through. Really, those lots, I think there's 3 of them between 1412 and where Mr. Good is right on the corner of 15th Street. we'd like to see a multifamily or single-family residential, seeing as how it's across the street from a pretty significant park, and there are a number of single-family homes that still exist there. So I know that that's outside of the 24th Street, you know, the areas that we're focused on today, but the larger map that you all displayed certainly included that area. So some of this land that's being acquired, you know, goes considerably north of what we saw on the screen, and it's sort of, you know, patchy, and it'd be nice if we could get some, you know, cooperation from the city on infill in those areas so that we don't have gravel lots across the street from the park.
Much.
Thanks.
I just ask if we can formally accept this, and I'm being told no. It's not public comment, isn't posted on the agenda. So if you wanted to bring this back to us at our next meeting.
A formal meeting.
At a formal meeting, Mayor.
The formal meeting.
Oh,
where
well,
we
you
have
can
public-
keep it and read it, and then I'll just bring it back, so no harm in keeping it.
Okay.
Well,
Can we
just
keep
be
it,
aware.
read it, but it's not
Right.
formally
Yes.
submitted till you come
Okay.
back and say so?
That's
How's
fine.
that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Gilbert Arvizu?
Thank you, Mayor and City of Phoenix. I just wanted to give some community insight to the land reuse strategy. As you mentioned, we've had community meetings for 4 years. For about 3 of those years, I've been attending those meetings, and I think they were sufficient. Sufficient community engagement was met. But I wanted to discuss 2 things that we, the residents, talked about. The one was looking at, as we develop the area, that we also look at loans for building up people's houses, improving their yards and things like that. At the last land reuse community meeting, there was about 80 to 100 in attendance. That was the #1 star. I forgot what we called it, but that was the #1 star that we all agreed upon. And the last comment that was made is the residents were kind of tired of industrial warehouses in the area. They wanted to see more than just more industrial. So that was another talking point that was discussed at these community meetings. So I just wanted to make that known to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have right now. I believe we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further comments, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion Oh, did we gain a person?
This is Michael.
Kowski?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know you were on the phone. Sounds like this is a unanimous vote, so thank you very much, and thanks for all the work going into this presentation. We appreciate it. Thank you. I believe that's the end of our agenda. We are adjourned.